F1 has officially become a circus. The FIA was recently accused of having a bias towards Mercedes, and this didn't stack up well with the team, while their arch-nemesis Red Bull kept on attacking, taking proof of this hypothetical bias from their magical hat. So, now that the FIA's boss is at risk of being forced to step off from that role, chaos spreads through the paddock as teams keep attacking other teams. This is a story really worth talking about, so let's not waste any more time and begin. First of all, what is this FIA pro-Mercedes bias we're talking about? Well, it was an accusation to the motor racing's governing body as a chance to make our attention slip away from what they were hiding. As we all know, just after the summer break, it was discovered that Red Bull had breached the budget cap, with confirmations of that coming from the FIA arriving in October. But rumours had been going around the paddock for a lot more than that. We've especially seen this in the weeks prior to the announcement, but leaks came out as soon as the Austrian Grand Prix in July. It was in fact over the race weekend that financial managers from the FIA had a meeting together discussing the topic and how much the infraction was worth. And as soon as the meeting was over, news spread like wildfire inside the paddock and up to press organisations. But what does this have to do with a pro-Mercedes bias that the FIA was accused of having by Red Bull itself? Well, first of all, even though Christian Horner first unsuccessfully tried to deny going over budget, he eventually ceased to be so unresponsive to the press, confirming that the rumours were actually true. During the Singapore Grand Prix, not only did he give up trying to convince everyone that his team was innocent, but tried to shift the focus of the drama onto something else. He said, and I quote, "Obviously any form of leakage is hugely worrying, accusing people from the team and even some members of that same meeting to be against Red Bull in some way. Mercedes' Toto Wolff agreed with his rival's suspicion, confirming that in his own opinion, he should look into finding the mole in his garage." But that was sadly a big mistake from the Mercedes team principal. As Red Bull kept on trying to shift focus from the fact that they had gone over budget, they kept trying to find this mysterious insider. They believed it was someone familiar with the team's finances, as the reports that were leaked were pretty much exactly the same as how much they had actually gone over budget. At first, they were set on looking for an insider in their own team, and then they started accusing the FIA of not helping them in this phantomatic research. People that were previously with them, like Toto Wolff, who we saw was on their side for most of this journey, started backing out a little bit from the accusations Red Bull was making. Toto himself called it a total slideshow and an attempt by Red Bull to divert attention. Yes, Red Bull does have the right to question where the leak came from, but this seemed a bit exaggerated. And if this was all a complex way of trying to direct people's attention towards the FIA and the fact that the infraction got leaked, they weren't achieving their goals there either. Numerous times they called Aston Martin to come join them in this fight against rumour spreaders, but even the Green team was skeptical about what results this would have achieved. At the end, probably motivated by the fact that no one was helping them and that months of research had gotten them zero results at that point, they decided to shake things up a bit. They started accusing the FIA to be secretly together with Mercedes in an organised way to take down Red Bull. This was obviously completely unsensed. Red Bull then brought up a possible reason for this alliance. The FIA's interim Secretary General for Motorsport, so an executive with a lot of power in the association, was in contact with Mercedes. The role was in fact taken in before June by Shaila and Rao, and this was who Red Bull suspects might be the insider they were actively looking for. Why, you might ask? Well, in the past she worked for more than 3 years as a lawyer for Mercedes F1 team, and has since probably kept contact with all the people she worked with. She was also believed to be a Mercedes supporter, so helping out her previous team, which propelled her career forward a lot, could be the way to thank them for their time together. But now, the much feared question. Is she the mole? No, not really. The FIA was quick to deny any allegations with this story. The FIA's president, Ben Sulayem, said that sometimes leakages of information just happen, and it's the spirit of the sport. At the end of the day, fans were going to find out about this sooner or later, since usually any big penalty, except for Ferrari's engine penalty in 2019, which we still don't know anything about other than its existence, are told to the fans who are welcome to speculate on these topics, as that's just free advertisement for the Formula 1 group. The fact that Red Bull's penalty news came out a bit sooner than they would have liked didn't really change how things turned out. If anything, it disappointed the fans who were hoping for a harsher penalty, even though it was just a tax problem and not an effective overspending from the team. So, really, this didn't change anything. It just gave newspaper agencies something to work on after the silly season, meaning that it was just a way to profit for most people. Even Mercedes was explicit on interviews about this topic. For example, when in Mexico, he told Sky Germany that, The leak is not from the FIA, suggesting it could have been someone from the team of managers overseeing the finances of every F1 team who spreads the news and makes a big mess about this topic. Other teams were not as polite with Red Bull as Mercedes was though. Ferrari's Mattia Binotto told Sky Italy that the leak didn't influence the final verdict, or that it maybe even made it less harsh, and that the penalty they got was too small and didn't compensate for the advantage they've gotten over these two championships. So it's clear that Red Bull are currently trying to hold on to their days of fame before any drama regarding them comes out, with the fact that now the team's two main drivers can't stand each other, the possible scandal made by Perez crashing in Monaco on purpose. We made a video about that, so make sure to check it out after this one. And the fact that they were over budget in 2021 and are probably going to be in 2022 leaves them falling apart like dominoes. This is surely something bad not just for them, but also for their drivers. Over the last races, Verstappen has shown to be much less dominant than what we're used to at the beginning of the season. In part due to Mercedes understanding 2022 F1 cars' philosophy and how to make them better, but also due to the car being less competitive than what it should have been. Between these tensions and the fact that more and more scandals including Red Bull in their name are coming out every day, the team has to work hard if they want to remain successful like they've always been. Playing the role of victim isn't going to help them, but rather make it difficult for fans to believe them on future occasions. If there is one thing positive about this, is that Daniel Ricciardo is set to make a return in F1 in 2023 as a reserve driver for Red Bull, which is great news. Someone funny and positive like Daniel could really bring the team's credibility and likability back up to its former days of glory. And the fact that he is well known for racing for Red Bull in the past might make people think about this team as enjoyable and a nice environment to be around. And honestly, that's what us F1 fans in general want to see happen. We just want fair competition among the teams, to see who really is the best, and not who can cheat the best or work their way out of problems better than anyone else. The drivers should get a little bit less childish and start treating this like the serious sport that it is, without ruining the show for all of us just to get a few more points than their teammates. At the end of the day, do we really need cars that can follow each other more closely if half of the time race results are decided by the FIA? So, what do you think? Is Red Bull in a bad situation right now? Will they ever stop complaining even if they are in the wrong? Let us know with a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, because at 10,000 subscribers, we're going to enter the Red Bull F1 team to analyse it from the inside. No, not really, but you should subscribe anyway.